Hi, my name is Sheyadisa. Been in the politics and governance space for about 10 years. I've worked in the executive and now in the legislative arm of government.
Hello, my name is Deborah Adeojo. I am an author, a women's leadership advocate, and a development communications expert.
Over the years, we've seen development as a major problem in Africa, development of people and communities. Imagine children that can't go to school because, they can't afford it, or get into hospitals whereby there are no drugs or no facilities. What about communities whereby they have to walk kilometers to get water? Or the young graduate that leaves school and is unable to get a job for years? These are real problems. In fact, our biggest problems.
I am passionate about creating conversations and communicating ideas that court the development of communities and nations.
I strongly believe that politics is the biggest platform to solve this problem.
So, on this podcast, I will be asking questions to this effect.
Welcome to the Politics of Development podcast.
Hello, and thank you for joining us on another episode of The Pod. This is the Politics of Development podcast, the platform where we get to engage in meaningful conversations on how to use the platform of politics to contribute to meaningful community development. You're welcome again. My name is Deborah, and I have with me the Honorable Sheyadisa. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Great. How are you doing?
I'm well. And you?
I'm very well. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the past episodes we've been discussing on how to get involved in politics. We've looked at the why, we've looked at the person, the who, we've looked at the when. And last episode, you focused especially on the when, saying the time is now for us to begin to, participate in politics at the party level and all, which is really interesting. But today, we are taking the conversation further and we're looking at where, so the location. And I think we're going to have a great time on the show today. But before we go into the meat of our conversation, first, what leadership principles do you want to share with us?
Okay, so today I want to talk about knowing your audience, knowing your people.
Great.
And, I always feel that leadership is about service. Leadership is about being able to cater for the needs of those that you have been put in charge of. And the first thing that comes to my mind is you need to know the people you're there to serve. You cannot lead those you don't know. You need to know them. You need to understand them. In most cases, you need to be like them. You need to be able to feel the issues they feel if you're really going to represent them the way they ought to be represented. A lot of times I see in leadership, people open the gap, but you ought to close the gap. What do I mean by that? You're trying to be closer to your people than be farther away. And that's why it's so frustrating for a lot of people when they feel they cannot connect to their leaders or they cannot connect to those that are there to serve them. There's a guy called Absalom, it's David's son, and Absalom showed classic political sagacity when he was able to, close the gap with the people. At that time, David was king and, he was always relaxing in the palace. He was on the streets, he was kissing their hands and acting like them. And, he stole their hearts because he was like them. So if you're going to serve people, if you're going to be a leader, you need to know your people. You need to serve them. You need to understand them, know them, and close the gap if you're going to serve them well.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. And I feel like that also builds trust.
Absolutely. If you don't know where it pinches me, how are you going to speak on my behalf? If you don't know where it affects me, how are you going to represent me? You remember I said leadership is not you being better than the people you're there to serve. It's you really, taking the needs of the people and then, using the resources around you to make a difference in their lives. So it's a relationship that must grow if you're going to lead them. And for you to have a relationship, you have to know them. And that's what will bring trust.
So good. For me, as you're just talking, I'm just picturing some of the pictures that I see during elections. We see this play out during elections or when elections are almost here. You see leaders, they get off their bulletproof cars and they go to the streets and start eating corn with people. That is when they start to, want to know you. But this, you're saying, has to be a continuous thing.
It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. I think, at least from my point of view, one of the things I do is I visit my constituency on a weekly basis. And it's not because I don't have anything else to do, but it's because I need to continuously feel the pulse of the people so I can continuously know where the real issues are. If it's a water issue, I may not know because I may not have that problem. But as long as I continue to interact and interface with them, then I know this is a major issue that we must solve. I'm there only because of them. I'm there to solve the issues they're facing.
So good.
Yeah.
And also because I think human needs evolve. So
that is so true.
You may be aware of what was going on 2 years ago, but if you don't keep in touch, you wouldn't know what is really going on now.
Absolutely. And my boss used to say, quoting a philosopher, is that a good leader will take you to where you ought to go to, but a good leader will take you where you want to go to. A great leader will take you where you ought to go to. So the more you interact, the more the people you're leading may only see so far. But a leader is supposed to see more and is supposed to see faster, and so you might be able to see that actually you think this is the only need you have, but actually the bigger need is maybe an education need, and we'll be able to sort that out. But all of this won't happen if you don't have that relationship with the people you're there to serve.
So good. So if you're thinking of coming into politics, please be prepared to know people. It's not about you, it's about the people you're coming to serve.
Absolutely.
On that note, we're going to go into the streets before we come back and discuss where you should participate in politics and how you should begin to do that. So we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Do you join a party in your hometown or where you live? Let's say where you live is not your hometown.
Where I actually live is not my hometown, so I joined the political party in where I live.
I joined the party where I live.
Where you reside seems more reasonable. You don't have to travel to your hometown to join a political party.
Preferably wherever you want, cha. It could be your hometown if you are there. It could be where you stay, wherever you have access to one, cha. Because I don't think it's that easy to join a political party.
I'll join in my hometown because I don't know, that's where you're from. Those are your roots. So I'll join my hometown.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
To join a political party, it is best that you go to your hometown. At least there they will be able to know more about you, your family, your background, and at least those people staying there. At least they will know the type of person you are before they can vote for you, and what are the things that you are going to put in place when you enter. So it's best that you go to your hometown to join the political.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right, welcome back to the pod. That was an interesting feedback from the streets. And a reminder, if you've not subscribed to this YouTube channel, please do so now. And don't forget to like, share, and comment on this video. And we promise to look into your feedback. Thank you very much. Okay, so last episode we talked about when, and you said the time is now. But Essie, where do you localize your political participation?
Well, so I believe, to be honest, if we're talking about participation, you can participate anywhere as long as you're a Nigerian citizen. And that's what the Constitution allows you to do. You're as long as you're a Nigerian citizen, you can participate in Lagos, Oyo, Kaduna, anywhere. But you see, I think a more fundamental question is, what is the purpose of your participation? So if you want to participate because you like a party and you just want to continue to contribute to that party, then to be honest, you can participate where you are. However, if you are thinking of participating because you're thinking of running for office, then the considerations might be slightly different. And that's not because by law you cannot participate anywhere, but when it comes to running for elections or running for an office, there might be other considerations that will come into play.
Okay.
For example, if you want to run for House of Assembly, for example, there are other things you're going to need to think about. For example, in my constituency, we have different zones. So we have zone 1 and zone 2. If it goes to zone 1 now, it is expected to go to zone 2 after the next election. And what that means technically is that it's an unwritten rule. It's a convention, but everybody respects it. So if you're going to go into office, you want to start to think about things like that.
So you're saying you have to do your research.
You have to do your research. Absolutely. You have to, obviously where you're registered to vote will also determine where you want to participate. You have to also think about things like ties. So for example, when I came into politics, one of the things people ask me is, who's your father? Where's your family from? And, even though I had schooled away from my constituency, the moment I called my family name, it became a name they all knew. And, this is one of us. As it were, we know his family. He can be accountable to us. However, when they feel they don't have any family ties to you, it means after you get into office, they might not be able to keep you accountable. And so that is a big factor in people wanting to elect you into office. So participation, you can do anywhere. You can participate where you live, around the community live. But if you're thinking of office, then you know that if you don't have family ties there, if you're not registered to vote there, if you're not into the whole arrangement system, then it's not likely you're going to be able to win, even if you can come out, but it doesn't mean you will win. So I think when we're talking about participation, you need to differentiate. Am I doing it just because I want to add value and this is a party I support so much? Or am I doing it because I want to go into office? And in most cases, a lot of our states are more sentimental. They would ask, where is he from? Maybe some other states are more liberal and it doesn't matter where you're from. And they just say, as long as it's Nigerian, we don't mind. But I know a lot of states, especially the lower down you go into councillorship, local government, they're more, and they want to make sure that the person is one of us and he can represent us properly.
Yeah, and I think while traditional gatekeepers can be faulted on some account, I think that at the end of the day, it's the question of accountability. People want to be sure that whoever they're voting into office is someone that they can communicate with, that is, they can hold accountable. I mean, they can... Yeah, a needle that has thread.
Yes,
like they say.
yes, that's it. They can pull the thread when they want to. And it is so true, because the accusation for a lot of politicians is once you get into office, we don't see you again. When you want to vote, like you said, you come down from your car, you eat corn with us, you buy our pepper, you buy all of those things. But once you're in, we don't see you again. So there needs to be that level of, and it doesn't guarantee anything, but it gives a level of assurance that we know his father, we know their household, we know where they are from. And if not like they'll do anything, but there is a bit of assurance. They feel he's one of us. He will be committed to us.
Okay, great. So say you're just maybe you want to actively participate or run for office in a particular place, and you don't have that name, you're not known. How do you build that influence brand or influential brand, so to speak, such that they begin to identify with you as a person and say, okay, I think we can trust him. I think we can let him run for office or something.
Okay, so as I intentionally differentiated participation for the sake of I want to add value, to participation because I want to run for office. To be honest, anybody can participate. That's the honest truth. If I'm a journalist, I can be part of the media committee in my party at the local level, and I could be someone that is, disseminating information or using media platforms. If I'm into education, I can participate and, do back to school programs, or I could do teaching for young students. If I'm a doctor, I could have health missions whereby we can treat people and bring, qualitative health to the people, to the grassroots, so you can participate from literally anywhere. But, when it comes to office, as I said, there are many factors. I discussed this in a previous episode, different reasons why people, or different factors. You have money, you have ethnicity, you have, family ties, you have, who is the sponsor, you have the party. There's so many things you consider when you want to get into office. But to answer your question, how are you going to become somebody they recognize? Be a problem solver. be someone that can add value. It might make them give you more consideration. But in my experience, our people at this stage are a little bit, more sentimental than rational, if I want to use it that way, because they just feel that he's not one of us. And so, yes, he's a good man. Yes, he's done well, but he's not one of us. So he cannot understand what we feel, which isn't true. And I think those are some of the things that, by law you can, but by tradition and convention, a lot of people struggle to make impact where they are not from. And I think it's a disadvantage because we're putting, some things over merit. We're putting some things over things that really should matter.
Yeah, so good. I really love that we're discussing where, because this is a challenge for many people, especially married women. So let me paint a scenario. Say you're a Nigerian woman, you're from Ekiti State. Then by marriage, your husband, so you're married now, and your husband is from maybe Kogi State. But all your life, you have lived in Nasarawa State. So you have a little bit of
You're a true Nigerian.
Yes, you're a true Nigerian, very rounded. So how do you decide on, this is where I'm going to domicile my political participation? This is where I'm going to, invest my energy and my everything. Okay,
and this person wants to run for office?
Yes.
Okay. So we know by law that the person can contest anywhere. As I said, I think Section 177 talks about all you need is to be a Nigerian citizen, have a political party that will sponsor you, have SSCE and age criteria. I think that's all, But the honest truth is, this woman has to look at all other factors.
Yes, sir.
There are so many reasons why one place might be better than others. So if you live in Nasarawa, I would imagine that people of Nasarawa would expect somebody that is from Nasarawa to represent them. However, if you said the husband is from Kogi, so I think Nasarawa might be difficult just because you live there. But if you're somebody that has been adding value and they like you, you have to wait. Do they like you enough to give you their votes? You might be surprised. Now, in the terms of where the husband is from, Kogi, if the husband's family is a, influential family, a family that, household name as it were, it would give you a lot of consideration. In addition to so many other factors, as I said earlier on, that matter, party, money, and so many other things that we have seen in our political landscape. And that's another consideration. And Ekiti that she's from, again, that's where she can say, they know my father, they know my mother, and there will be considerations for there as well. But I think it's a balancing act. I think such a woman needs to sit down and look very closely. Where do I know these people? Where are my people? And when I mean my people, not just that they're your people, but they see you also as one of them. Yeah. Because, as I said, in my experience, I schooled abroad. I lived outside my constituency. But one of the things that helped me was my family name. They every time I went on campaign, I would introduce myself and let them know this is who my father is and this is my ward. And so there's a first, okay.
And it helps if your father was a good man.
It certainly does. We know his dad. So that is like an intro. So what do you want to tell us? Then you have to go into other things. Okay, so this is what I want to do, and this is my experience, and this is why I feel you should vote for me. These are the things I've done. This is my party. So there's so many other things you will put on the line, but it's what gets you into the door.
Yeah.
That where you're from in Nigeria, it gets you into the door. It doesn't guarantee everything, but at least it gets you through the door. And I think such a woman will probably have stakes in Ekiti. Probably, if depending on how the husband's family is in Kogi, might have stakes over there. And in Nasarawa, has stakes because she's resident and has been resident for a period of time, all her life. But I think, you might struggle more there than the other two places, which shouldn't be, as I said, but it's the reality. So a woman in such a situation needs to put all these factors together. And as you said rightly, the more you research, the more you kind of know, are there zoning arrangements? Is it town to go first, then another town? All of this comes from research, and you have to do that work if you're going to make that decision.
So good. I never knew that politics needed this much strategy.
It does.
and
Politics is
intentionality.
intellectual, and it
Yes.
takes time. And that's why I always tell people, you don't come in 6 months before. I said at the start of the show, know your people. You have to know them. You have to be close to them. You have to close that gap. If they like palm wine, you drink palm wine with them. If they eat buns, you eat buns with them, because you have to be one of us. You cannot represent us if we feel you do not understand where it pains us. And I think that is the task such a politician has to do. Close the gap, become like the people, because the people that have been put as leaders should not create a gap between them and the people. They should close that gap.
So good. Okay. Now let's go back to participation.
Okay.
For those that are not vying for any position, they're not even thinking it's long term, short term, it's not their decision, but they're really concerned about participating actively. Do you think that people in the diaspora can participate from a distance, and how do they do that?
So I think everybody, to be honest, everybody sort of has a motive somewhere. If they're not planning to run now, maybe they plan to run in the future, and or perhaps they feel that by appointment, by reason of my contribution, because as I said in previous episodes, you don't only get into office by election, you could get in by appointment. And so someone in diaspora could contribute or participate by sending money to his party, paying his dues. Somebody in diaspora can be part of the media team and create social media buzz. Somebody in diaspora can come home once in a while and bring other doctors and perform surgeries, create impact. Somebody in diaspora can bring educational tools and come home and make a difference. So, you can participate from afar. You don't have to come. Somebody at home will attend ward meetings regularly, but somebody from a family come once in a while, but must come with impact, must come with something of value, so that they can create influence and so that their presence will be felt. But I think everybody that does that too, doing it for the strength of the party, doing it because they love the party. But remember that they also have the opportunity, even if it's not by election, to be appointed when the party is in office and can get positions to help them.
So good.
Yes.
So good. We've had an amazing discussion. I feel like I have clarity on certain issues, particularly on, how to be strategic. It's not, you don't just jump into these things.
No,
you have to
you
be
don't.
very, very
You
strategic
don't.
and do your background research so well. So thank you so much for sharing.
It's always
from
a
your
pleasure.
heart
It's
every time.
always a pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much for listening. Please, again, we are begging. Okay, I am begging to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, to share, and of course, comment on this. And if you have questions, please, I want to ask the questions that are on your mind. So drop your questions in the comment section below. Till we see you on the next episode of Pod. This is bye-bye from my hand.
All right. So once again, thank you for being part of this. As Deborah said, please subscribe so that you know when these episodes come out. And we're just trying to bring politics closer to the people. If you're thinking about participation, please start now. Get into your locality and start to make a difference. And we'd love to hear from you in the comment section. So we see you in the next episode. Take care.